You can practice a martial arts technique 1,000 times in a dojo, but if you can't do it under some kind of mental pressure, then you've got no chance of doing it on the street. If you're quite a pleasant person and somebody who's not a pleasant person decides they're going to attack you, the first thing that happens in your head is some form of upset and some kind of mental pressure. And if you can't handle that, it doesn't matter what tricks you know, you're not going to be able to apply anything. My name is Jonathan Edward, I'm 44 years old. I've been a member of the Jiu-Jitsu Foundation now for 23 years. All through childhood I'd watched things like The Fall Guy, a programme about a stuntman with Lee Majors in, which was great, and things like the A-Team. People diving all over the place and doing stuff and crazy fight scenes and stuff, and I'd always wanted to learn some kind of self-defence. By the time I was 16 years old, I thought, I'm too old to learn a martial art now. You've got to start when you're a kid, otherwise you'll never be any good. My first jiu-jitsu lesson was in about March or April 1995 at the Leeds Metropolitan Club. The club instructor at the time, a gentleman called Richard Martinez, was away on holiday. A guy called Dave Clay was teaching the club as a blue belt. Dave is now one of the top third dans within the foundation and one of the top members of the technical board who's been developing our style and our art throughout the years. I was 21, I think, and realised that you didn't have to start as a kid because within 3 years I took over the club, so I didn't do too badly. I've been teaching that same club almost entirely ever since, and we train every Tuesday and Thursday, 7 till 9 PM. Jiu-Jitsu is a very practical form of self-defence for everyday life. We don't claim to be the best punchers or kickers in the world, but what we do excel in are defensive techniques from people trying to punch or kick you, or people trying to grab you in various different ways, whether they're trying to strangle you or even attack you from behind and grab you over arm or under the arms, etc. Even more strange techniques like people just trying to grab hold of your arm and lead you away. That's an important one we teach to children so they can get rid of anybody trying to, attack them. Stranger danger and stuff is a big thing we teach. Our style of jiu-jitsu, it's modern, but it's very traditional. It's come from a very traditional style, which the samurai warriors would have learned for in case they were attacked or if they were on a battlefield and they lost their sword. A lot of the throwing and the locking that we do then became developed by a guy called Jigaro Kano into what is formerly known now as judo. A lot of grab defences and defences also against weapons. We'll teach people to defend themselves against a kosh attack. Now, you don't get people walking down the streets carrying koshes usually, but if you're in a pub and someone's a bit drunk and they're looking for trouble, there are things like pull cues lying around. There are chair legs that can be snapped off, things like that. So the kosh defences we think are very valuable. Also, defences against a broken bottle. Unfortunately, people do break bottles and use them to attack people, and that's a vicious, horrible thing. So we try and teach people how to defend against those. We also teach people how to defend against knives. It's always a last resort. The first defence is you run. It's as simple as that. In times of conflict, the only thing more important than presence of mind is absence of body. So if you can get out of there, just run, leg it. Yeah, but if you're cornered, then hopefully the other skills we've taught you will keep you alive.
Hi, I'm Chris. I've been doing Jiu-Jitsu for just over 18 years now. I started in Bath and I came up here after 3 years. I've been training with John now for about 15 years. I'm a brown belt. I teach at this club. John is probably the favourite sensei I've had since I started doing Jiu-Jitsu, which is why I've stuck here for so long.
My name's Rashida. I've been training at Army Town Club for over 10 years now. I've known John for over 10 years. He's a great instructor, really good. Started off when I came here with not much confidence at all, and then John got us involved in doing more pressure testing stuff, especially with big attacks and working with a lot of the bigger guys. We found there was a lot more guys training here, so as we obviously built our confidence really well and slowly progressed now to a blue belt, and hopefully fingers crossed we're going to try and aim to go for our brown belt in the summer.
Hi, I'm Simon. I've been training at Leeds Town Jiu-Jitsu Club since January, so for the last 18 months. Never done anything like Jiu-Jitsu before in my life. I'd always played basketball, football, always fancied trying it. A little bit nervous about coming for the first time, but really good atmosphere at the club. So I've known John for about 18 months. When he comes down, he's always nice, step by step, building up the techniques, giving you a chance to learn every part of it, talk about how important all the different kind of foot movements, hand placements are, taking people's balance, and really makes you kind of learn the techniques step by step.
We try and develop people as a whole, so pushing them out of the comfort zones in the martial arts environment means they get used to different fear, they get used to the fear of failure. And some people will get used to not fearing failure. They'll accept failure as a part of growing and learning. But also it helps people with mental pressure when it comes to other aspects of their life, like going for job interviews, etc., things like that. We've heard lots of people have come back and said, if it wasn't for doing jiu-jitsu, I wouldn't have got where I am today in my career, even though it's got nothing to do with the martial art, or so you may think. And then we've had other things, like we've had people thank instructors for saving their lives because something they've done they've learnt it, and then someone has attacked them in reality and they've used the skills they've learnt through the classes and applied them and stopped themselves from getting seriously injured, if not killed. So we can't put a price on that, and that's why we all teach voluntarily. We don't get paid for teaching. If you can walk 100 yards, then you can start doing jiu-jitsu. If you then want to get fitter, it's up to you. If you want to do other things to get fitter, or if you just want to push yourself in class. But it's a different kind of fitness. In a lot of ways, the fitness we do is anaerobic as opposed to just aerobic. Because a lot of the time, you're getting put on the floor or you're getting thrown on the floor, and then you've got to get up, and then it's your turn to do the throw, so you've got to be able to do it even if you're a bit out of breath, which again comes in handy for the real life situations, because once your adrenaline starts pumping in real life situations, you can feel yourself getting out of breath or breathing heavy and feeling anxious and things like that, even when you do it once. It's just an involuntary response. But fitness wise it's very good. Discipline wise as well, it's good, especially for children. We do have a lot of children's clubs, and we are at the moment, we're trying to push for it to be on the curriculum for some schools. Unfortunately, the sports and physical activities in schools, compared to when I was at school, it's dropped a lot, and then they wonder why kids aren't doing as much, and kids are getting a short deal, I think, these days. I even read recently that children on average are spending less time outside now than prison inmates per day. Time for parents who are having to work a lot, etc. Parents who have their own interests. So luckily, a lot of our jiu-jitsu clubs, the public ones, the kids and the parents can do it if they want to. So if you want an activity that you can do, practical, will teach you something valuable and give you some discipline and give you some fitness, then yeah, come and do some jiu-jitsu with us. We now have clubs at just about every major university in Britain, in all countries, England, Wales, Scotland, but we now also have clubs in Africa, Canada, America and Europe, mainland Europe as well. So yeah, we've grown quite a lot. We do try to be inclusive. We won't accept sexism, racism, discrimination of any type. You know, we've got people from all different ethnicities, religions, faiths, non-faiths, sexes, physical abilities, and we teach everyone to the best of ability that we can do, so that they can learn the best that they can. University clubs are usually quite evenly split between male and female participants. Even a lot of the public classes I've been to are as well. I think a large part of the reason it appeals to women is because of all the grab defences that we do, which are very applicable to ladies, unfortunately, in this day and age. And also because the skills that we teach aren't focused on strength and size, they're focused on the strength and size of your opponent and how to manipulate that.
Today was my first session and it was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I really enjoyed it, and I think I'll be coming back next week. But yeah, it's definitely something different and I've never really tried anything like it before.
We're quite a social organisation as well, so we like to go to the pub afterwards, and it doesn't mean you have to drink alcohol. It's just where we go to chat about maybe what we've been training about, or just about general life, and get to know each other more as friends and break down more barriers. You know, some people, especially at the university clubs, well, and at the public classes as well, I guess, they may join because they may be a bit shy, they may be a bit timid, they want to make some friends, and they may be lacking in confidence a lot of the time. And through rolling around on the floor with somebody and, you know, trying to hit somebody and then getting thrown on the floor by somebody and realising that you're not made of glass and you can get up and do it again and again and again, as long as you're doing it safely, it breaks down a lot of barriers between people, and the rest get broken down in the pub. Just under a year ago I became a father at the ripe old age of 43. My daughter's 1 next week, so I don't get to do as much teaching on evenings as I used to do. My daughter, I will be introducing her to the art, definitely. Whether she wants to take it up or not will be up to her. I'm a bit concerned about teaching her just yet, because already she's grabbing hold of her mum's hand and twisting it around and bending it in ways that's very similar to putting on one of our wrist locks. She's not done it to me, she only does it to her mum's hand, so that's fine by me. You may think a black belt grading is hard, and yeah, it should be. You're getting a black belt in a martial art, and we certainly don't just give ours away. But in some ways, that's no harder than your yellow belt grading, which is your first grading, because that puts you under quite a lot of pressure. It's a completely different environment, a new environment to most people. The first time you ever walk through a dojo doors and take part in your first class, that could be the hardest thing you ever do. But if you do that, then you can do everything else. If people have the determination to want to learn and to want to progress, then they will do. We have people that have great natural athleticism. We have people that have no natural athleticism whatsoever, but they are absolutely brilliant at this martial art because they have to think about it, and they've been willing to push themselves to continue going. I'll be doing jiu-jitsu for as long as I can walk. I would only stop if I got to an age or a lack of ability where it became an embarrassment to go onto a mat, or if I thought I had nothing to offer, then I'd stop. But until that happens, I'm not stopping.